Hey everybody, it's another great day here at Born Again to Live. Just remind the listeners we have a Facebook page if you want to reach out and chat with us. Born Again to Live, the podcast, is out there on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. Questions, prayer requests, whatever. But summer is definitely over, Eric. The lightheartedness, the sunny days, the fun, the splashing around in the pool, all that, you can tell summer's over because, this week has been pretty heavy, pretty hard hitting, and we are going to just keep right on that track today, Eric.
When you make an outline and you put one of these topics on there, it's like, do we really want to go into this? Do we not just want to be the happy-go-lucky podcast, or do we really want to be the hard-hitting, helpful podcast, I guess? But
we've been avoiding this one for a while.
Yeah, we skip it about every time we get a chance. But it's an issue that we hear about from our kids at Big Blue. We've heard about it on our Blues Days, Tuesdays. So I don't know. It's one of those topics that when you talk about it, people are like, I don't really want to hear that or whatever. Or I don't really think that's true. And I'm telling you now, me and DJ have talked about it. This is one of those topics that people don't talk about enough because it's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just talking right before we started recording, it is the silent killer. Like, it's not carbon monoxide. But what we're going to talk about today is pornography. And it is something that it keeps people away from God, from church, from community. It is this thing that causes shame amongst young adults that they just, they think they're the only ones. They think they're isolated. And we've heard in testimonies how it just brings you this big level of depression and anxiety, and it sucks your joy. And, to your point, Eric, if you're somebody listening right now that says, oh, this has nothing to do with me, it has to do with everyone because it affects everybody. There is that ripple effect that it hits everybody. If you have children, grandkids, whatever, everybody's impacted by this. And so I think it's important that we talk about it. And I think everyone has a place at this conversation today.
If you've never viewed it, you could be affected by it because the person that has viewed it and is addicted to it, their perception of you as a person could be changed by what they've saw. And so that could affect how they react to you. Or if you're in a situation with someone in public and you're offended by the way they look at you or talk to you, you could go, hey, wait, that person may be suffering effects of this.
Yeah.
So it is prevalent to everybody. It is a thing that I don't think the world realizes what porn can do to you.
No.
So actually, that's one of the things that I want to hit on first is the results of it. But I want to get into how something can innocently start and turn into an addiction or a really bad lifestyle. I heard a testimony that a kid, Michael talked about how he just viewed it once, basically, and it just started a ripple effect. But I heard a story from a guy who was like 50, and he talked about how when he was a kid, he just looked at like one magazine, and his whole life, like he just had this desire to just keep looking and just keep looking and just keep looking. And so something as innocent as one time could change everything. So, I mean, I wish there was a way that the president or somebody could just get rid of it all.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have to deal with this, but it's still going to be out there. It's still a problem, and I don't think that people realize the effects of it. So let's go through some of those effects.
Okay.
The first one on the list is depression, shame.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, that depression and shame is one of the things that I had after I was healed in life because I realized how bad I was.
Yeah.
And that's a result of realization and eye-opening from God of, man, I was a bad sinner. Like, I didn't realize what I was doing, and I didn't realize how bad I was. And Michael talked about how he was depressed during the being addicted to it part. So that's something, if you find somebody in your life, if you're a parent and you got a teenager who's suffering with depression or shame, check into it. And by the way, guys are more likely to have this problem than women. It's just a given. I think it's like 80% guys that can have this problem more likely or whatever, and it's bigger. There's more of a chance. I don't know if it's something to do with our brains or if it's just something to do with our mentalities or what, but it's more likely that men suffer from this problem.
Yeah, well, we're wired differently, that's for darn sure. But I do think that wasn't some of the stats you were reading, Eric, it was like 90% of like young men, but like 67% of young women. Like it's climbing up there for sure. Yeah.
So depression was the first, and then anxiety. And you may think, well, how in the world does looking at porn give you anxiety? Number one, because you're ashamed of what you did, and you're afraid that somebody's going to know what you're doing. So most of this porn stuff happens in secret.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, that's why it's so silent of a killer in this world right now. Is it's all by themselves. Like you can, and every kid's got a phone, and every kid can look at it, and that's where the problem starts. Is honestly lack of restriction.
Yeah,
is where we're getting the problem, I think.
Yeah, if you don't have parental controls on that phone, and if you're just so, I mean, if you're just buried under a rock and you're like, oh, my kid knows better. They don't. Like, be a parent for God's sake. Because I heard over the weekend, this kid I've known for a long time, he got his first cell phone. He's only 10. So parents, if you want to suck the joy out of your children's lives, just give them free reign on the internet and see what happens. But I beg of you to put those parental controls on their phones ASAP, and monitor them. Don't be lazy. Like, before you go to bed, don't scroll through Facebook to see what your friends are doing. Scroll through your kid's account and see what they are doing.
Yeah, definitely be active in that, because it may you might not be their best friend when you come down on them, but I'm telling you, it'll save the life.
Amen to that.
I don't even remember the stat, but I saw it one time that like porn leads to suicide like 27% of the time in these young kids.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the depression, the anxiety, and the next one is guilt.
Yeah.
Those are all lumped together as one big thing, but it's if they're doing it, and I mean, look at a kid. If a kid's 1 minute's happy-go-lucky, and then a couple months later you're like, that kid's whole mentality's changed, and they're constantly in their phone or on Instagram checking out different stuff or whatever. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
They go from playing every sport, every season, to just wanting to be in their room 24/7. Like, it's not hard to figure out.
Yeah, and you can say to yourself and deny it all day as a parent or a guardian that, my kid's not doing that. They're just playing games. Listen, they're not.
Yeah.
It's such a big problem right now, and that's why we're doing this. Like, we're not trying to come down on you and teach you how to parent, and we're not trying to teach kids how to be a person. We're just trying to show you that it's a problem in the world, and if we don't do something, it's going to kill this generation.
Absolutely. And we've seen it. Like, we have seen the before, and praise God, we have seen the after, but we have been exposed to it so much, Eric. And so we're not talking as two people that just picked a random subject out of a hat. Like, we want to talk about it because it is killing our youth. And I know, almost when I think about a lot of my close friends, so many of those families also dealt with this. And again, it didn't start at 18. It didn't happen when they went off to college or as a high school senior. It happened when they were 11, 12 years old. It started really young, and it just robs these kids of their childhoods.
I mean, I'll tell my age, but I can remember the first time I saw anything pornographic, and it was a magazine that my older brother had, actually, and I stole it so I could see it. And I remember that being like when I was 12.
Yeah.
Yes, magazines were the only way you could see it back then, but I'm saying, like, it as innocent as, hey, what's that book that's hidden under Dad's bed or my brother's bed or whatever, like, and if a father has an iPad or something that he's always on, and he looks up an account, like, I mean, I saw a stat there just a minute ago looking through some of these that, like, the most popular sites, and I don't want to mention them because I don't want people looking at them, basically, but like the popular sites get over 1 billion hits in a month.
Wow.
So if a dad goes on there and let's say a 10-year-old kid gets that dad's iPad while he's home alone right after school and just types in an address he wants to go do something innocent and it pops up, right there could be the end of that kid's whole innocence because they just see something that's like, oh, what's that? And we talk often about the principalities and Satan using things, and I believe that this is a tool of Satan.
Oh, absolutely. And the world will convince you, oh, well, these are, grown consenting adults. They're choosing to do this as a way to make money or artistic expression, however they want to bill it. And they'll say, well, and when someone uses porn, they're not hurting anybody else, but that's where the lie is. They hurt everybody around them because it has such huge effects. The world tells you it's no big deal, but man, from where we're sitting, it is a big, big, big deal. So don't believe the lies.
All right. So in the list of results of watching and doing or enjoying it, I guess, in your world, depression, anxiety, guilt, those are all self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah.
Let's go to the self stuff, I guess. It's what affects other people. Unrealistic expectations and killing relationships.
Yeah.
This is an easy one in, let's go with young adults or late teens probably.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see this more in that. And then, throughout 30s and 40s, you see it all the time too. But the unrealistic expectations, there's no dating, there's no courtship, there's no, hey, let's go on a date without expecting something to happen at the end of the night. Or, that's where it's fast track, it's Tinder, it's, these dating sites. Like, if you can't swipe and say, yes, we both like each other, let's just jump into it. Like, no, there's no old school getting to know a person, taking them out, having coffee, whatever, and learning about the person. It's, well, in the movies, I see this, so that's what we're going to do. They're going to come in the door and boom, we're going to be in the bedroom. And that's not healthy in any shape or form, because we got to get back to the old school dating relationship, and that's going to be completely killed if we don't nip this in the bud right now.
Well, these kids, they're losing this sense of connection because, I was talking with a young person not too long ago and just about how I said, like when it really, like you want to be married someday. You've said you want that perfect mate, that perfect partner. You want that life with someone. But I'm like, I said to him, I was like, when you rush things and when you just go straight for the sex part of the relationship, I said, it never gets past that. It never gets past that. So you don't learn to love this person, to understand who they are, their quirks, like what, even just like where their moral compass points. Like you don't learn anything about them, and then you end up married to them and you wonder why, like, you get divorced in 3 years. You didn't learn anything about them. You never really loved them because you never got past the sex part. And I know that's hard. Like, I know for especially young men, like it's really hard to, like, what do you mean I just have to date her? Like, get to know her, because this is the person you could be waking up to for the next 40 years. Make sure you like this person, let alone love them. But when it starts with the sex part, it never goes beyond that. It really doesn't.
And that's the next one, is actually desensitization or desensitizing. It's when you finally, if you get into one of those relationships where you find a person who's like, nope, we're waiting until marriage, and you have this addiction and this problem, and you get to the point of actually getting the real thing and the real good stuff in life, you're not going to want it. You're going to be like, whatever, I'd rather watch that.
Yeah.
Or I'd rather see if we can't do all that crazy stuff or whatever. And that's where it's really killing what real life is all about. It's not showing you real life. It's not showing you what's to come if you wait, and how good and joyful it can actually be. Because this is the part where I say God created sex.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to sit here and say, yes, he created it. I mean, he told Adam and Eve to reproduce.
Yeah.
Well, it's not by chance how that happens. But he also created the marriage. He also created the standard of how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And he didn't say you can't have fun while you do it when you're married. Just don't do it outside of the marriage part. But that's what this is taking away that good. And that's why, again, it's the instant satisfaction thing, and that's why divorce rates are so high. Like, as soon as you get what you want, you move to the next one, and that's where this pornography starts that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like that movie, you just go to the next one. If you don't like that movie, you just go to the next one until you find one that you're like, oh, that's my thing right there. And then you just, once you start watching it, it's like, okay, that's cool. And then you get tired of those and you go to the next topic. But it's the same in women in your life or men in your life. And, well, I really like guys that are dad bods or whatever. And, like, so you're flipping through, and then it's like, well, I kind of got tired of him, so I'm going to push him off and go to the next one. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing. It's not realistic, and it's desensitizing you to what really is good in life.
Well, and Eric, I think there are those people that they probably stand on their holy soapboxes and say, like, we're saving ourselves for marriage. But if you're looking at porn as you think it's this innocent substitute for sex, it is not. And we know, like the Lord Jesus says, if you look at a woman lustfully, you are basically committing adultery. So don't somehow think that like it's just this sinless, because you're not having, sex outside of marriage or whatever. It is not this innocent substitute for doing anything else. Like, you are damaging yourself. So, and you're ruining that future connection with somebody that you love. And, that's a real, that's a big one.
And, all right, so going down our results there, of you getting into this, one of the ones that you don't see as often probably, but it's the social isolation.
Yeah.
That, again, we go back to the anxiety and depression. It's that feeling like people are always going to know what you're doing, always going to assume. And you'll notice it'll be, you might be around a friend that they used to keep their phone one way and they flip it over, or little simple things, or, hey, it's the guy who would usually go out to hang out with you and do whatever, and they're like, no, I'm going to stay in tonight. Well, why are you staying in? Or I know there's times in life where you might go out and have a great time, and then they're like cutting the night short because they want to go home or whatever. Yeah. It's that type of change in wanting to isolate and to be alone so that you can do what you're doing, but you don't want people to know you're doing it. So, again, you get shame, but you're isolating. So when you're trying to fight by yourself, if you're fighting it, you're not going to win. It's going to win over you. If you tell somebody, hey, hold my phone, or I'm going to go look at this, you're going to win that battle. That person's going to be like, I got your back, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you. But you can't do this alone. You can't self-isolate and fight off what the powers of those demons that are in that porn are going to do to you.
Yeah. Well, and it goes down to your number 7, like, it is an addiction. And when you're addicted to anything, you can only make it, I've known a lot of pretty heavy smokers in my life. They can't get through a movie. They can't get through a concert, and I think I learned that kind of early on. I'm like, oh, so every 20 minutes of every minute I spend with you is going to be out back having a smoke because they can't get through it. And, like they, as any kind of addict, if you're addicted to porn, like you said, Eric, you're not going to make it through the whole night with your friends. By about 9:30, you're ready to tap out because, you have a problem. You have an addiction. You need to go feed the addiction, so to speak. So
with addiction, with this addiction, it's not the same as the most publicized drug.
Oh, yeah.
And all that stuff. Like heroin, you have a problem, but you can't stop.
Right.
Meth and those things, you can't stop. Alcohol, because you see results of your paycheck or whatever. All these other things. With porn, it's so subtle.
Yeah.
That you won't realize it. And I don't often speak of it, but this was my vice. And I know for me, it killed my marriage because I could go out for an entire night or day with my family, spend the entire day, and never once want to see anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when I get home, I couldn't sleep. And I would have to go, I'd toss and I'd turn and I'd lay there for like 2 hours and couldn't sleep. And in order to not keep anybody else up, I would just isolate to my own little den. What's the first thing you pull up?
Yeah.
You view one video and then it's like, oh, I'm tired. And it was just that subtle. And when I realized what I was doing, it was after I was saved. And I actually sat in church for years praying for this to go away. And I couldn't get rid of it. And it was that tent revival when I raised my hand that God removed it and my eyes were open. And so, like, just like Paul, the scales came off and I'm like, that's what those nights where I couldn't sleep were.
Yeah.
That's what was happening to me. It was so subtle.
Yeah.
How Satan used it. But that's why we're doing this, is so there's awareness. So there's people out there who can see it and don't just have your own self doing it. You got partners in the world. If you got kids, pay attention. It's big.
Yeah, I mean, there's an expression, I don't know if it was like Patton or whoever said it, but like, you can't defeat an enemy if you can't identify them. Like, so this is us identifying the enemy and what the enemy is up to. And as I said yesterday in that episode, like, the enemy is not a person. It's not even the person that's doing it or putting it out there. The enemy is Satan, and so but we got to identify Satan's tools, and pornography is definitely one of Satan's tools. Does that mean God doesn't love you? Does that mean you're a horrible person and we don't want you in our church? Does that mean I don't want to talk to you because you do this? No. That is not why we're talking about this, but we are letting you know, like, it has some severe effects on our mentality. And, to your point, Eric, where you said you couldn't even fall asleep, I know, like, psychologists, if you want to go down that rabbit hole and read articles, like, there's neuropaths and dopamine hits and all these kind of chemical brain functions that are going on, that are causing that type of behavior.
That was the next one, brain changes, and that's dopamine. And that's basically what any addiction comes down to, is the dopamine and that instant gratification. And that's what that's the thing. Like, we gotta know that that's what we gotta work on. I don't want this episode to sound so negative, but it's a big problem, and people just don't realize what's out there, or what people are going through. And you said, does that mean God doesn't love you anymore or any less? Like I said, when I was going through this, God pulled me out of it. Yeah. So if God loved me less because I was going through this, he wouldn't have pulled me out of it.
Absolutely.
So I want to end on hope.
Yeah, me too. Because there is a hope, for sure.
Because that's the hope. That's Michael got pulled out of it. I've been pulled out of it. Ben's been pulled out. There are all these people we talk to, and I could name thousands of people, and probably that I've talked to that have been through this or been close to this or have tried to fix this. And we talk about recovery groups and how there's so many recovery groups for all of these other things, but there's none for this. And it's just as important. So there is a hope. There is a way out. There is a positive part of this whole podcast. It's that we have another device to get out of this, and it's God.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just end with a couple verses, huh?
Yeah.
You want to just end there? All right. We're gonna end with and we will be back tomorrow to talk
how to prevent and how to fix.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to leave you with this is a whole bunch of 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 22. It says, so flee youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart. The things that we will gain after giving up our youthful passions are so much greater and so much more lasting. Faith, love, peace. Like, who doesn't want those things in their life, Eric?
Yes. So again, today, heavy episode, guys.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that Amy and I did not want to really talk about. We were kind of like, let's skip that one around. And finally, we're just like, all right, we gotta pull the trigger because we hear about it so much.
Yeah.
We've got to do something. So, as we said, tomorrow we'll be back with a little more upbeat, a little more positivity, and we'll get back into this. So.
All right, sounds good. See you tomorrow.
See ya.